Well, I was wrong, and I'm pretty glad that I was wrong. The level 1 CFA exam pass rates seem to be on the rise. And maybe the bigger story here is that the minimum passing score estimates are slightly lower, which you would expect given what I just mentioned with the pass rate being a little bit higher. The February 2022 Level 1 CFA exam results were announced this morning, and what we saw is that 36% of the candidates who sat for that February Level 1 exam were able to pass it. Now, 36% is not quite back to the 10 or 15-year average that we've seen for that exam. That's 40 to 42%. So I'm sure hopeful future candidates would like to see that number get back to where it has been over the last decade, but this is a big improvement from the numbers that we saw throughout 2021 for the Level 1 exam. Chris Wiese, who is sort of the spokesperson for the CFA Institute, I think his official title is Director of Exam Development now, he was pretty quick to say, "I told you so" in the media after the results were announced this morning. I'll put the exact quote up on the screen here, but I did think the Institute wanted to make a point to get the public message out that, hey, what we've been talking about for the past 12 months with pass rates being lower because of candidates' exams being rescheduled is in fact true. So now they're pointing at the higher pass rate and saying, look, most of the February 2022 Level 1 candidates didn't have, or maybe hardly any of them had exams rescheduled from the past. They were sort of first-time test takers. Their pass rates were pretty close to historical averages, so it must be the case that the logic that we've been communicating for the past year is accurate, and that candidates having to reschedule their exams because of the pandemic was the primary cause for the low pass rates. Again, the Institute just told us all, "I told you so." And I'm sure what they told us is part of the story. So fair enough, CFA Institute, you told us. But what they have not told us, and what they did not make mention to, at least so far yet today, is that the minimum passing score does seem to be lower. Now, I don't expect the CFA Institute to ever make an official statement about the minimum passing score because they purposely are private about what that is. I don't totally know the rationale for that. They've given different reasons throughout history, but the point is they don't publish what the MPS is. We have to rely on estimates from third-party websites, the most popular being 300hours.com, and I tend to believe that their estimates are pretty accurate. They report that the estimated minimum passing score for this Level 1 exam was 70%. Now, 70% is not quite what we've seen over the 10 to 15-year average. It's still a pretty high minimum passing score, but it isn't quite as high as what some people consider to be pretty unfair, very aggressive minimum passing scores that we've seen throughout 2021. And of course, those very high minimum passing scores resulted in very low pass rates. So yes, CFA Institute, you did tell us so about the pandemic being part of the issue for candidates passing the exams, but that doesn't explain why the minimum passing score got lower. And many of us have been pointing to the administration of the exam with the most direct way to measure the maybe difficulty of the exam being through the MPS. They didn't mention why the MPS got so high in 2021, and they also didn't mention why it's come down a fair bit in this February sitting. So although I was wrong in the video I uploaded a few days ago where I predicted that we would not see the pass rates come up too much for this sitting, I was right in the fact that I also predicted that the results of the February 2022 exam would sort of put us somewhere in the middle of both rationales for why the pass rates have been low. The Institute's rationale, the pandemic, people having to reschedule, and sort of the public perception of the rationale, the very high minimum passing score, and now lower minimum passing score. You can't argue that the pass rate isn't any higher because the minimum passing score is potentially a few percent lower. That is going to have a direct correlation to the overall pass result. With that being said, it's clear that we have at least two reasons why the pass rate's a bit higher now. And again, that's sort of what I concluded my last video with in saying that it's probably going to be more than just one factor that contributes to the minimum passing score coming back up. And it is pretty well back up. So if you're watching this video and you recently passed the Level 1 exam, I want to extend you a huge congratulations. Passing the Level 1 test is a very big deal. While it is the easiest of the three exams, it also carries the lowest average pass rate because you'll see the least qualified candidates, or maybe I should say candidates who will put in the least amount of time and effort into studying for the exam for that Level 1 exam. So it sort of acts as a hurdle that everyone has to clear before they can really sit down and try to take the very difficult exams, Level 2 and Level 3. So again, statistically, passing Level 1 exam is the biggest factor in ultimately becoming a charter holder. If you're watching this video and you recently failed a Level 1 exam, the advice I want to give you here probably won't be easy to listen to just due to the recency of that news that you did not pass the recent exam. So maybe pause this, put it on your watch later list on YouTube, and come back in a week and listen to what I have to say here. But when you don't pass the CFA exam, as long as you want to try to continue to take them in the future, you're going to continue your candidacy in the future. You want to do things that are going to be beneficial to ultimately passing the exams. And sitting around and thinking negatively about yourself and reflecting on negative emotions from not passing the exam are not productive in terms of anything, I guess, but especially in terms of getting yourself to the point where you can start studying effectively again for your next attempt. Now, you shouldn't ignore the fact that you failed. You should carefully analyze what you did during this pass and improve on hopefully each and every aspect, or especially focus on the things where you really fell short. Maybe you had to skip a couple books because you ran out of time. Maybe you found yourself being very distracted while you were studying each day. Maybe you just didn't do nearly enough hours. That's a pretty clear solution. Study more hours the next time around. Whatever your primary factor is, if you can identify one, focus the most energy on improving that. But if there are a handful of things you could have done better at while studying, improve on all of them. Use this opportunity to reflect on everything that you did. Maybe write it all down. Maybe think about it for a day. What are all the things that I did while I was studying that I know I could have improved on a bit? For more examples on specifics, I have other videos on the channel about how to proceed after failing a CFA exam on your attempt for that same exam in the future, where I'll give you a lot of details on the types of things you should be considering trying to improve on. But my general message for you today is to learn and grow from this and do better, work harder, and study more the next time around. Especially if you're really close to that line, you should know that you have the brains to do it. You can definitely pull it off. You just have to work a little bit more, or a lot more, and give yourself some buffer room so you don't have to be super nervous about potentially being right on the line again. That isn't a bad idea either. Just let us know how you felt you did, how you felt the exam was, and your plans moving forward. As always, thanks for sticking around to watch this one. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video. Have a good one.